Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Live Q&A with the Dice Tower. Today is November 7th, 2016. 1 week and 1 day till Dice Tower Con registration. Do not forget, you might forget, but don't forget, schedule it in your calendars. I would imagine it's going to sell out. It may not, in which case I won't be that upset. I mean, we want it to like sell out perfectly, like where everybody who's ever wanted a ticket can easily get one. But that's probably not going to happen. So anyhow, that's next Tuesday. Let's see, other than that, lots of reviews coming your way. Christmas shopping guides, those are coming next week. We're recording and getting them ready. I already have a couple done. I just finished recording Conan. That review will be going up, I think tomorrow is probably when you'll see that. And yeah, there's a lot of just different reviews. Expansion for Orleans, and so just different things that are coming your way this week, along with a top 10 list. Still can't remember which top 10 it is. All right, well, whatever. Anyhow, yeah, I'm wearing my Blue Jays hat, but all credit to the Cubs. Congratulations, Cubs. Okay, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments. I will not and cannot promise to answer them all, but I will try to answer as many of them as possible. If you go to our website, you'll see an FAQ that gives you a lot of answers to things already. All right, so let's see. Why aren't there more heavy or Euro co-ops, in my opinion? In my opinion is that I don't know that there's a group that wants them that much, right? Like the people who like those heavier Euro games, they're trying to outdo each other, and to work together to a common goal is probably not as much an interest. I'm not saying they're necessarily so competitive. It's just that they're trying to puzzle out a way to beat other people. With a co-op, I would imagine that they would quickly puzzle out the best way to beat it at any given point in time. So there'd have to be a heavy dose of randomness so that they don't know how to beat it at any one point. I think that's why there isn't any. All right. What do you think of the new Power Grid card game? I actually haven't played it yet. In fact, I need to ask Sam to bring it in because everyone has played it except me. So I do want to give this one a try to see if I like it. Let's see. By the way, just as a heads up, I know that because tomorrow is election day in the United States, that politics are running hot. They're not welcome really in this chat room, and I'm not really going to answer questions about those. So I know the schedule isn't really loud, but do you think you guys might have, like Seafall, played over the course of a year instead of so quickly? See, this is like, I kind of am, I think people may be not understanding here. We didn't play Seafall that quickly. We played it, we got it at Gen Con. Gen Con was August, or beginning of August. We played August, September, and October. That's over a 3-month period. We didn't binge it. We didn't play it like boom, boom, boom. We didn't want to, right? We played it and we were like, all right, let's put it away. We'll play it again another day. That's really where we were at. So I don't think spreading that out would have made it much better. If anything, we find that these legacy games, if you really spread them out, you kind of forget what was happening. Also, I am not work for these publishers that you guys keep asking me when games are going to be released for, so I don't know. That would be a good question for those publishers. Do you remember your very first video review? I think my first video review was Shadows over Camelot, the expansion for it. And I was like just showing things to I was using the built-in video camera in my computer. I still remember the first time that really shocked me. I got my Mac and I was setting up, and also my picture was on screen. I didn't even know there was a video camera in the thing. It was a little disconcerting at first, but I was like, maybe I could use this for videos. And I did. I would never use that camera for videos now, but How do you cope with having such a large family and Christmas presents? I just get them all Christmas presents. I mean, obviously when you have a larger family, each kid maybe is going to get fewer presents, but I don't know if I have fewer kids if I would give them more stuff. I mean, we're not supposed to spoil our kids, right? So they know they're not going to get a ton of stuff, but they don't seem upset about that. I try to do my best. I mean, I don't give them board games at least. All right. Hi, Tom. I can't find Le Havre. Do you know of another game that gives you similar feeling on playing? Well, maybe you can try the new one from Rosenberg, which is A Feast for Odin. Tom wants to say it was nice meeting you at Essen 2016 and see your live show. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I really like when people come and say hi to us. In fact, in a week, I might see a few of you at BoardGameGeek.com. I'm thinking about going to Essen next year. How early did you start planning your flights and hotels? Flights, I usually plan 4 or 5 months out. What I do is I just keep watching. Watch. Because there's always a point where these flights get much cheaper, and that's when you want to buy them. For hotels, as soon as possible. I believe hotel reservations may be already in the process for next year. I know that hotel reservations for Gen Con are already done. Is an escape the room board game a board game? Well, kind of, sort of. It's more of an experience in a board game. It's more of a big puzzle. And so your question is a riddle or a puzzle a game? I think so. Finally played the first game of Time Stories. Is there any order to go in for the rest of the modules? I would go in the order that they printed them. I would do Marcy Case next. I would do Prophecy of Dragons, and then I would do the Mask of Anubis one. I would just do them in that order so far. Tom, where can you find the setup that you used in the Twilight Imperium live play? I don't know. Sam pulled that one up online, so I think he searched for balanced 4-player setup. Do you enjoy Descent with the app better than regular Descent? I do not. I'm from Israel and baseball is not popular here, so I'm asking honestly, as someone who's not very familiar with it, what do you like about it so much? Doesn't it have a lot of downtime? This is a very legitimate thing, right? I really like baseball, but I can completely understand how people who have not grown up with the sport don't like it. I think it's really one of those, you just get used to it. Every country has different things that people are like, why do you do that? Well, we got used to it. So I like baseball. Baseball to me is the closest sport to a board game. It's I move here, you move here. Okay, he throws the pitch, and now he swings. Okay, so now there's 2 strikes. So what is this guy going to do? What is that guy going to do? Where do the different where do the different players in the field? Do they move in? Do they move out? Is it time to bunt? What is the different situations? It's kind of a move. I also like baseball because you can be 30-1 in the 9th inning with 2 outs, and it's not likely to happen, but you can come back and win. And I've always enjoyed that. Unlike basketball, 100-70 and 20 seconds left, nothing's going to happen there, right? I like that part about baseball. Yes, there's downtime, but not. I don't know. I can watch each pitch. It'd be interesting. And when I go to sports games, I always talk to the people around me anyway. We are moving back to the States from Japan. I was wondering what's the best way to pack up our board games to prevent warping. Putting board games in board games. If you can find a shrink wrap machine, that seems to work really well too. But you want those boxes as full as possible. Any kind of air, and they can get crushed a little bit. Have you seen the new Power Rangers movie trailer? Yeah, I have. It looks like Power Rangers today. I don't know if that's good or not. I never was a big fan of Power Rangers. They came out, I was already a teenager when they came out, and they just looked dumb to me. I was like, this is not Voltron. Although I've gone back and watched Voltron, it's like, oh, that's not that good either. Although the new series I really like. Gen Con versus Dice Tower Con, which is better for a gamer who's never been to a convention before? You're asking me? I'm biased. Well, really though, I think any small convention is better than a bigger convention if you've never gone to a convention before. So of course I'd recommend Dice Tower Con over Gen Con. Even without me being involved, I'd recommend BGG Con over Gen Con. I'd recommend many of these smaller things over Gen Con for your first time, unless you just want to see a huge spectacle, in which case, go to Gen Con. Even then, I might consider going to Origins first. How much of Rob's win in the TI3 game was attributed to Vernon attacking you in Sam all game? I don't know. I really liked. If it came out that I was upset with Vernon, I was not. I was pleased that he was keeping things moving and attacking. And yes, that was the shortest peace treaty I think I've ever seen in a TI3 game. Did Rob win because of that? It's possible. Maybe my fault too that I kind of built that Cold War up with Rob. Maybe I should have gone after him more. I really thought I had a chance to win that game, and I came in second, so I'm not upset about that. It's just I didn't realize Rob was able to reach one of his secret goals, but it is what it is. Should more games follow Smash Up and doing polls to decide expansions? I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But, I mean, crowdsourcing, I do it all the time. Like, what do you guys think about this? I don't always follow crowdsourcing, but it's a good thing to hear what people think. Tom, when you were visiting Riot Games, did they give any idea on whether they were intending to make a profit on Mechs vs. Minions? It seems like they have to be losing money on it. I don't think they're losing money. I don't know that they're making a lot of money on it, but I don't think they're losing money. The reason they can sell it so cheaply is because they're doing their own distribution. They already have their own distribution set up. So a game like that probably cost, I'm just making numbers up here, but I'm not too far off. A game like that might cost $50 to make. So if they're selling it for $75, they're making money on it. Maybe not a ton of money, but they're making money on it. For any other company to sell that game, they would have to sell it for, they're also selling it for $75, but they're probably selling it for $75 to the distributors, who the distributors then sell that game to retailers for $85. And then the retailers, they need to make money on it, so they're marking it up to $120 or whatever. That's where the differences are. So since they're skipping that distributor markup and the retailer markup and they're just selling it direct, they're able to reduce the price on it quite a bit. Thank you for all the people who say thank you. I don't read them all, but I do appreciate it. What's your favorite Star Wars Rebellion moment? I think the very first moment I blew up Kashyyyk, which is terrible because I really like Chewbacca. But it was just like, I can do this? It was a neat moment. So I'm now going to BGGCon, last minute decision. Are you guys doing a live show there again? I went last year for the first time, had a blast. We're not doing a live show, but hopefully the fact that we're not doing a live show and the fact that we have a booth there, but if you've ever been to BGGCon, the booths there are very casual. So we're actually going to be playing games at our booth. So I'm going to try. I have one event that I'm involved with, the Battling Tops on Friday night. But other than that one event, and I have a few meetings I got to go to, I'm really trying to play games. Now, I'm going to be trying to play all the new Essen games. So if you play a game with me, you're going to be playing not a game I know how to play. We're going to figure out how to play the game together and learn some new game. And it might be great and it might be horrible. But that's what I plan to do. But I plan to do it as much as possible. I get up at like 7 in the morning and come down, or maybe it's 8 or whatever, but I'm down ready to play games. And if you want to play games with me, just hunt me down, find me. You want to go out to eat? I got some meals free. Not a ton of them, and I can't promise anything, but you never know. So hopefully that makes up for us not doing a live show. We just wanted to do one convention without a live show. This is also probably the last time we're going to Board Game Geek Con. So not because we're dislike the convention or anything, but just because it's the con that we get it costs a decent amount of money to go to it, and we don't really get that money back. And it's a couple weeks before Dice Tower Cruise, so. Let's see here. You know, I'm going to answer Victoria's question here. She says, what's your games I would take with me to Desert Island? You just can look at my top 100. Just start from the top and go down. That's what I would take with me. Have you eaten at Babe's Chicken in Roanoke, Texas? It's right near the Hard 8 barbecue. Yes, Babe's Chicken. Actually, if I could only go to one of those two, I would go to Babe's Chicken. That's how much I like it. I have a Babe's Chicken hat, actually. I love Babe's Chicken. That's the one planned meal. Well, I planned 2 meals, one at Hard 8 and one at Babe's Chicken so far. What's the easiest way to find numerical ratings for Dice Tower reviews besides watching Week in Review? Well, you could always go to our Board Game Geek identities. So I'm Tom Vasel, and Sam Healy and Z Garcia. I don't know what those are exactly, but I just look up Tom Vasel, look up my thing, and then you can see all my ratings for all my games. Now, I usually don't put those ratings up until I make Week in Review, so you probably won't see them till Saturday. when I put them up, but that's a good way to keep track of what I rate a game at any particular time. Tom, have you ever participated in the Board Game Geek Secret Santa? Well, sort of. I actually started the Board Game Geek Secret Santa. I did it on my own first. I ran a Secret Santa. I did it through Board Game Geek, and after a couple of years, Board Game Geek said, "Hey, we got some tools. You want to, make this more official?" Yes. And then after a while, I said, "Guys, I can't run this anymore. It's just too much work." And they said, "We'll run it ourselves." And I said, "Fantastic." So that's, yes, I've been involved with it. For tips, advice for a new first-timer, just have fun. Don't feel pressured to do this. There's this whole meta game thing with this whole taunting and things. I wouldn't do that, but my advice is always this. Expect to get nothing. All right? If you go and expect to get nothing, if you get anything, you're fantastic. And try to make that person have an amazing experience. And if they don't say thank you or appreciate it, it's enough according to you. Be fine with that. It's all about giving. I'm sure they had a great time whether they said thank you or not. Can you tell my friend Emily happy birthday? I can. Happy birthday. Are any contributors going on the Dice Tower cruise? I don't think so. It's me, Sam, Jason, Eric, Z, Rob, our webmaster, is going, Derek, my video guy, and a lot of other people. I don't think any of the contributors are going this year. That might change as years go by. Do you ever do the BGG cruises? I don't. The only reason I'm doing the Dice Tower cruise is I take my family with me, and I wouldn't want to go on a cruise without my family. Also, the BGG cruises are very expensive. And so when we looked into it, I was like, oh, we can do it for half the price. Let's do it for half the price. And they go on longer cruises and such. But it was pretty expensive for me to go on to me, a cruise is a fun, somewhat romantic experience. Do that without my wife would seem odd for me. Hey, Tom, do you wear contact lenses? I do not. Hey, Tom, I'm a big fan from Bahrain, I believe is how you pronounce it. What advice can you give me to open a board game cafe here in the Middle East? I really can't give you advice, except go out and figure out what people want. Figure out a good location for it. I know you want to make it a place that people can walk to, or else you better have a lot of good parking nearby. Other than that, every country is different when it comes to board game cafes, and so I might look for other board cafes that are in countries similar to yours and go from there. What would you tell someone who is starting to do his reviews? Try to be different. Try to be enthusiastic. You will never be more enthusiastic than you think. Like, you'll never sit there and be like, I'm enthusiastic, and then people watching it go, that guy is too enthusiastic. Really, that doesn't happen. You are probably less enthusiastic than you think. Be exciting, be interesting, be consistent, and if you don't like doing it, stop. Don't expect to get anything out of it. And if anything does come out of it later on, it's a gradual, long process. Are the Thunderstone Advance expansions worth getting now? I don't think so. Because Thunderstone 3 is coming out soon. I would just wait for that. What are the best metal coins? I don't know. There's a lot of really good ones. There's a couple that claim to be the best, but I'm pretty happy with most of them. How well did Lords of Waterdeep do in the top 100 this year? Well, the People's Choice top 100 is going to be, the rest of it's going to be posted this week. I believe it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It might be starting Wednesday. Yeah, I think it starts Wednesday. No, Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe it's just Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know. Whatever. It's being posted this week, the whole rest of it. So you'll see where Lords of Waterdeep ends up. People keep asking about Secret Hitler. I haven't played it. So. Better question. Okay, so someone just asked me the same question about People's Choice, but how do you determine the release schedule for series that you put together? What I do is I try to have something going up every single day of the week. Some things are set in stone. Board Game Breakfast, Weekend Review, and the live Q&A almost always go up on Monday. And because we're recording things ahead of time, I like to take at least one day off. So Monday has the fewest things on it. Now, granted, I spend a good chunk of Sunday now working on Board Game Breakfast, but well, it just is the way it is. So then I got other things that are set up. Throat punch lunches every other Wednesday, and Board Game Blenders every other Thursday. We do a top 10 list every other week about. And then I say, okay, so then I got reviews. And we got things from our contributors that come in. And Chaz does his Friday live Q&A. And we have different things, so I spread them out over the course of the week. Every week, at the beginning of the week, I make a big checklist. These are the things going up this week, and I spread them out. And then I try to find something big every day. Every day there should be one thing that people go, ooh, okay? Because the fact of the matter is there's going to be a lot of games that we review and a lot of things that people just aren't that interested in, okay? So like this week I'm reviewing Go Go Little Penguin from Haba. Or maybe that's next week. I don't know which week it's going on. But okay, big deal, right? Most people are like, it's cool, and I think some people will be really interested in the review. It's for 2-year-olds. Okay, that's great. The problem is it's not a big review. So, like tomorrow, the big review is going to be Conan. That's a big review. A lot of people are going to do it. So I try to schedule one big thing every day. So when I have a series like the top 100s or whatever else is going on, those series are usually the big thing. So I look for where there's holes and say, okay, there's no really big review going up this day, so let's put it up that day. Now, sometimes a review surprises me. Because we had not been the first to get it up, I did not expect the Arkham Horror card game that Z did last week to be as big of a deal as it was, so that was a surprise. In fact, our views last week was the highest viewed week we've ever had, ever. And I was really kind of surprised by that because there's a couple People's Choice top 100s, but it's because we did Seafall, and we did the Star Wars Destiny, and we did Blood Bowl, and we did the Arkham Horror, I guess, but it's interesting to me. I kind of keep up with stats to see how many, like, one of my goals was to get 100,000 views in a day, and we have done that now like maybe 12 times, and 4 of those times were last week, which was still mind-boggling. And then my goal was to get 1 million views a month, and then 2 million. Now my goal is to get 3 million in a month, which might happen in December, maybe. We'll see. But it's not that big of a deal. I mean, if views go down, they go down. But so I'm trying to make it so that there's something interesting big every day. Because I know not everyone can watch everything. So I don't want to put a whole bunch of big stuff on one day, because then one person, you might skip a few of those. So I just try to spread that out. So that's how I really decide how the series go out. I kind of spread them out throughout the year. Now this year we got a little cramped because we still have Sam's top 100 coming. And we have Suzanne's top 100 coming, and I think that's it. And I have 2 other series. Actually, I have 3 video series that I'm planning to do, but each of those series is going to take a good chunk of time. So when Sam and Suzanne are done with theirs, we'll be close to December at that point. At that point, we do best of 2016, blah, 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 and that's a lot of videos. But I am going to be working on a series of, hey, here's each designer. Here are the best games from that designer. So I got 20, 30 videos out of that, right? Here's the publishers. Here are the best games from these publishers. And then I've been talking about doing this, but I'm going to do this, a series where I say, hey, folks, you like Scrabble? Here's some other games you might like. And not necessarily to beat up on Scrabble per se, but say, hey, you like Scrabble? Here's some other alternatives. You like Monopoly? I'm going to pick a lot of very common games and say, here are things. Now, I give credit to Scott Nicholson. He did that with Monopoly once. We did an excellent video on that subject, so I'm going to steal his idea, I guess. Tom, how do you deal with other players that are rough on your components? I don't care that much. Sometimes I see someone bending the cards, and that happens occasionally. It's like, oh, please don't bend the cards. And I might even say something like, hey, you're bending the cards, or whatever. But for the most part, components are pretty durable, and most people treat them with respect. Do you prefer a Reuben or a Monte Cristo sandwich? A Reuben by far, although I also like a Rachel, but they're very similar. I love a Reuben. And down here in the Keys and in South Florida, we have lobster Reubens. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I know some people are like, that's anathema. A Reuben should be, with the corned beef or pastrami, come on. Don't knock it till you've tried it. As you like baseball, would you go to a cricket match when you come to England next year? Well, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that. I think I would go to a cricket match, but I would need to go with somebody who could explain to me what was going on. And then I think that might be fun and interesting. He goes, that's a good idea. I don't know if cricket's played in June or not. Tom, which game do you recall really liking the mechanics of, but dislike the game pieces so much you replace most of it with parts in your inventory? Oh, wow. I've definitely done that, but I'm trying to think what I've done that to. I'm going to take a rain check on that question, because I know I've replaced a lot of pieces in games. I don't know that I dislike the original pieces. Like, I replaced... Like, okay, Lords of Waterdeep's one. I didn't really like the cubes that they had. I replaced those with little dudes. I really like that. So that might be the one. Power Rangers is not dumb. No, I'm not saying it's dumb. I'm saying that when I was a teenager, I looked at Power Rangers like, oh, this is silly. This is not good at all. Maybe it is better. I have watched a Power Rangers or two over the years. It looks like it's for 6, 7-year-olds, maybe. Maybe there's versions that are not, but that's what it looks like. Is Kingsburg expansion worth buying? Yes. However, the new version of Kingsburg that's coming out at the end of 2017 is going to have the expansion in it, so I would wait for that. This is my first time going to Board Game Geek Con. Do you have any tips or suggestions? Okay, well, yeah, I do. One is just to take it easy, have a good time. Try to make friends with some people and go out to eat with them. I would go out of the hotel, which means you need to get an Uber or ride the free bus or a taxi or something and go to a place in town, but there are many good places in town to go eat. Eat. Get away from gaming. I know some people, they sell food down there, and I've eaten at their little lunch thing down there just to save time before myself, but for at least one meal a day, get out of that hotel. It's just good to get out and spend time with people. The registration line is ridiculous at Board Game Geek Con. It's the worst registration line there is. It's just really long. But it can also be really fun. People go down there at like 5 in the morning and they just sit in line and play games. And then the line gets really long and you can say, well, I'll just wait and get in line later. Well, you can. However, it's like you're going to wait 2 hours pretty much, unless you go after like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At that point, the line is much, much shorter. So you can go early and wait in line and then go through quicker, or you can go later and wait in just a long line. Someday they'll get this worked out, I guess. But you can just go play games in a small room somewhere with some other people and wait till 2 o'clock. That's what I might recommend. Or you might just want the fun experience of waiting in line. Also, people who are earlier in line they usually give out free games at these things. The games are never amazing games, but they certainly are better for the people who go first in line. And free games are free games, right? So, hey Tom, just watched today's breakfast. Would you consider doing a back talk about the depiction of women in games? I would like to hear more of a discussion on it. I would consider doing such a back talk. But I don't think I would want to do a back talk with Sam and Z on that. No offense to Sam and Z, but I think that would be a good thing for me to do with some women. That makes sense, right? I can give my opinion. My segment's called Tom Thinks. But I think that something like that would be better in that regard. We'll see what happens. Favorite brand of chocolate? I don't really have a favorite brand of chocolate. I like chocolate. I don't think that it's amazing. I actually like junk candy more than chocolate usually. Except the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup's amazing. Oh, amazing. I do like Cadbury cream eggs and such. I don't eat a lot of chocolate because it's not that good for you. Do you think we'll see the Mechs vs. Minions distribution model used by other game companies in the future? Possibly, but probably not. I think they're a unique case. Fantasy Flight Star Wars games are very expensive. I can only buy one. Which one do you recommend? It honestly depends what you want. Do you want the X-Wing experience? Do you want the Armada big ship experience? Do you want the tactical experience of Imperial Assault? Do you want the whole Star Wars in a box experience, Star Wars Rebellion? It really depends. They're all good. I think the Star Wars LCG is probably the weakest of the lot, but they're all good, so I would just pick the one that you think you would like the best, that kind of experience. You like to keep expansions in base game box. Do you keep small games in the box of the big games? No. I don't usually put other games in other game boxes. I have not seen Doctor Strange yet. I heard it's good. I just, this weekend, there wasn't really a free time. I'm thinking about sneaking there tonight with my wife if she wants to go, but really the only time is kind of a late time, so I'm not sure if she's interested in that. What are 5 things on your bucket list? You know, I really have crossed off so many of them. Okay, I'm going to take off the really cheesy stuff, but it really is the truth of it. I like to attend all my daughter's weddings and son's wedding if they have them. I would like to see them all graduate and do well in life and pop a grandkid on my knee and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So taking that stuff out. I like to go to Russia. I don't know why. I mean, really, world traveling is pretty neat in general. If someone said, hey, Tom, there's a convention in France. Do you want to come? I'd be like, can we make this happen? You know, no matter where the convention might be. So traveling the world, I love to travel the world. I wouldn't even mind someday maybe taking a month off and just traveling with my wife through the world. Now, on my bucket list, this is another thing too. I just would like to start being able to take my wife to all my conventions with me. I think that'd be fun. She probably wouldn't want to come to all of them, but to when she did want to come, to come. But like things I really want to do, it's mostly just seeing stuff, I guess, throughout the world. There's just a lot of things. I don't necessarily have a top 5, but maybe there is, and I'm just not thinking of it. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. There's just not I don't know. I have a really nice life. God has been good to me, and I have a great family, and I've been to like not a ton of countries, like 12 different countries, but that's been pretty cool. My job is pretty neat. You know, a lot of bad things have happened to me in life, but you know, the good things more than make up for it. So I'm pretty content, I guess. I'm sure there are things that I would love to do, like, ooh, that sounds really fun. But I've got to do a lot of cool stuff. Can you do a quick recap of each video category? Okay, so what are the objectives of those, like back talk? Back talk is basically we take a topic from, usually it's from Board Game Breakfast that I've already talked about, and we just go into more detail on it, me, Sam, and Z. Miami Dice just means me and Sam reviewing together. It's just the name of that series where we review together. Sometimes, more often than not, actually, Z joins us. Every Game is Awesome is me and Jason reviewing games together. And Double Trouble is my daughter and me reviewing games together. You will see all those this week, actually. There's Miami Dice, Double Trouble, and Every Game is Awesome coming this week. I had my 40th birthday this past weekend and celebrated with 12 hours of gaming. Congratulations and happy birthday. Would you consider only a live stream 12-hour gaming marathon? I have to say, guys, I'm still not keen on these live things. We just did a live thing, and once again, the comments were pretty nasty, and it was a lot of work, and I don't know. I'm just not sold on this live stuff yet. In fact, I promised that I'm going to do some live gaming with my wife and with my kids, and so I need to get that done over the next couple months. We may be done with live gaming. I'm not sure. You guys got to convince me otherwise. At smaller cons like MeepleCon, are new games announced and or available, or is it just more for playing games with new people? It's usually just for playing games with new people. There's occasionally a game announced at a small convention, which is always fun for that convention. Do you have a favorite gaming story that represents the purest example of why you love board games? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I would recommend looking at our top 10 list of our top 10 gaming experiences, because there's a lot in there. Is the video speed of the top 100 people choice faster than other videos? I think so. My favorite yogurt type, just plain vanilla yogurt, vanilla Greek yogurt. And my favorite thing to mix in with yogurt, definitely some kind of nougat or granola. Really like granola in yogurt, and then probably raspberries and blackberries. I really like that. My wife mixes different things in, but raspberries and blackberries I think are my favorite. Have you ever thought of redoing older reviews in better quality? Be happy to see a higher quality review for Cosmic Encounter. It's possible. Although I did. Those really old reviews, I've definitely redone a couple of them, but I actually have to have the game too. And the game has to be widely available for some reason. Yeah, I probably will do another Cosmic Encounter review at some point, but really it's not like we're hurting for reviews right now. Where would you rank Brass in your top games, if not your top 100 games? That's not even in my top 500. I don't dislike the game, but nah, it's okay. If the Dice Tower cruise goes well, would you consider doing them around different destinations in the future, like Europe? No, I would not consider that at all, because I like being able to drive to the cruise. And you say, that's very selfish of you, Vasel, I know, but since I'm bringing a van full of games and my family and all that jazz, like I said, I don't want to do a cruise without other people, so it's going to be either Miami or Fort Lauderdale for now. Possibly Cape Canaveral. Would you rhyme in code names? Like if the word's hotel, would you let someone use the word motel? Definitely not. That's cheating, I think. That's against the spirit of the game. Do you keep all the Chaos Ball teams in one box? No, I have them in a drawer, actually. Do you recommend time storage for me and the wife? I'm afraid it'll be too expensive for a one-time use. Well, I'm not sure if it's too expensive, then don't get it. For two people, yeah, I think it's fun. Tom, did you guys attempt to record Seafall for gameplay videos and were disappointed, or figured it wouldn't make for good content? I don't remember when I decided not to record them. I think the first one I was like, let's just set it up and play. After the prologue, I said, guys, this is not going to be an interesting game to watch, because you basically sit there and go, There's really a lot of silence in that game, and that makes for terrible viewing. Do you play lots of games on the Dice Tower Cruise? Well, I'm about to find out. I don't think I'll play a ton of games, because I think I'll be too busy making sure everyone's having a good time. But I hope to play at least a few. If you could only keep one hat, which would you keep? Maybe this one? I really like this one. Maybe this one? I'm not sure. I don't know. I do like the blue fedora a lot too. Have you tried 3D printing and does it excite you? Yeah, it does, but I've deliberately not gotten a 3D printer because I think I would just be printing stuff out on purpose. I've never done 3D printing. I think it's fascinating though. Tom, any opinion on Mythic Battles Pantheon? Now, I normally don't talk or even look at Kickstarters, but I did look at this one a little bit just because we were playing Conan, and I said, well, I wonder what the new Kickstarter looks like. And we looked at it like, oh, it looks really good. Sam said he played it at Gen Con, and it was really fun. I'm sure, I don't know, I look forward to it, I guess, but I'll just wait till it comes out like everything else. Do you find it difficult to throw away boxes for expansions when integrating into the original box? I cannot express to you how not difficult that is for me. I will gladly take the box and go, woo! Actually, I can't get rid of this box because I need to keep the expansion stuff in that Orleans box. It won't fit into everything won't fit into the base game. But if I can, out it goes. Will you vote? And if so, do you mind telling for who or why? No, I'm not going to tell who or why because that's not the point in here. But I will vote, yes. I am registered to vote. I will vote tomorrow morning. And even if I didn't believe in voting for the big one, the presidential or whatever, there's a lot of other things that I would vote for. There's different things going on here in Miami different measures that we're voting on. There's a senator race, and there's a lot of different little races that are going on. I think that we should be involved to some degree. You think publishers realize that portraying women better in games can be profitable? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't make them as much money initially. And some of them are stepping up. Okay, Renegade Games is doing a great job at working on this. Portal Games is doing a good job. Plaid Hat Games is doing an amazing job. More and more companies are starting to do this, and I appreciate that. French fries or mashed potatoes? Mashed potatoes. Although I'd like French fries. If it's a potato, it's amazing. Okay, it doesn't matter how it is. Potatoes with the skin on or off, both are fine by me. Can you please summarize the Viticulture Tuscany Essential Edition eventual expansions for the Essential Edition? I can't understand which one to buy. I will agree. I love Stonemaier games, but I think they botched this in a sense. It's like, this is just kind of like, what are you guys doing? You made Viticulture, fine. You then made a second edition of Viticulture, which was better than the first edition. Great. Then you made Tuscany. Okay, fine. Then they made Viticulture Essential, which they took some of the stuff from Tuscany and put it in the Viticulture box and said, this is essential stuff that you need. Okay, fine. Okay, I get that. But what if I wanted some of the other stuff from Tuscany? I don't want to buy the Viticulture Essential and then Tuscany because then I got duplicate stuff. And they were like, no worries. We'll make the Tuscany Essential expansion. Okay, so you want to buy Viticulture Essential and Tuscany Essential, and you'll have pretty much everything you need. All the extra stuff that didn't come from Tuscany, the stuff that they left out, I didn't play with that stuff anyway. And I have to say, I feel really good about that, because usually when I do a review, everyone's like, you're wrong about this. But with Tuscany, all the ones I said, these are the ones that are the best, are the ones they included in the Essential and the Tuscany Essential. So I was like, yeah, I got one right for once. My favorite question to ask during Spyfall, I love asking, like, what movie does this location remind you of? Because then they're like, oh, it can't be obvious. And are you looking forward to Energy Empire? Well, we have already reviewed it, and I liked it. Tom, I was wondering if you would ever consider filming your collection. Well, possibly, but I'm showing you a shelf at a time in Board Game Breakfast, so you can always watch those sections if you want to. You know what I should do is I should take all those sections out, like the what's on the shelf sections, and then at the end stick them in one long video. That would be a lot of work to... I got to remember to save those from each Board Game Breakfast, though. I enjoy the reviews, so the more I watch a Dice Tower, the more I want board games. I don't have a big budget, so should I watch a Dice Tower less? Well, maybe, if that's the case. Or maybe watch things like the top 10 lists, or Board Game Breakfast, Board Game Blender, Throw Punch Lunch. You watch those shows, and we show you a lot of different things. So watch comparisons. Realize that there's so many great games out there, you don't need to get all of them, I think. But if watching us does make you want to buy more games and you can't afford to, then I would recommend that you watch us less, because that's just not the best thing. Gives me an idea, though. I always have ideas. What if I did a live Q&A game show each week? That might be interesting. That wouldn't make you want to buy more games, right? But it might be fun. You get to play along. I might do that. That's an interesting idea. For doing videos, what do you recommend for a microphone and camera? I recommend the Canon Vixia. It's not the one I'm using now, but it's definitely the best starting camera. Most of the video reviewers use it. And then you can buy the Bluetooth microphone, or you can just attach your own microphone to it. You seem to be a bit lukewarm on Stefan Feld's games. Yes. But I do like some of his games a lot. I really like Bruges. I like Castles of Burgundy. I like the Castle of Burgundy card game. I like Trajan. And I really like the Oracles of Delphi. That's kind of a spoiler. My review is coming out, I think, next week of it. But I thought that one was really fun. Now, the games of his that I don't like, I really, really don't like them. But so I'm lukewarm on him to some degree, but I do like a lot of his games. So I don't tear a game away because it's a Feld game. Do Dice Tower contributors get any compensation for their videos on breakfast and lunch? They do not at this point in time, unless I've made some sort of deal with them. Many of them get to advertise their own channels through it. The Dice Tower is not a huge thing yet where we're able to give compensation. There's occasional different things, like sometimes I'm able to fly some of them out to different conventions or provide them with hotels or give them tickets to different things. I do what I can, but for the most part, assume it's a volunteer thing. Do you plan to hire a new reviewer for heavier Euros to step in for Ryan? Is it in the plans to make a show like Board Game Breakfast for Eurogamers? No to that second question. Come on now. What do you mean a Board Game Breakfast for Eurogamers? Board Game Breakfast is for all gamers. I don't. What would we change? Would the Tom Thinks be different? Would Suzanne's Kickstarter news be different? I don't feel like Board Game Breakfast is we're not ignored. No, I think it's for everybody. For a reviewer, well, you're going to see more and more reviews, I think, from Jason as time goes by, especially next year. All right, I apologize. I just... let's see here. Will the Dice Tower come down to PAX South? Well, again, I'm looking into the different conventions. I wrote PAX South with a question mark on my calendar, but that's more of a think about it type situation. Again, and these conventions are expensive to go to, so we have to figure out if it's worth going to each one or not. In a review of the game, do you and the Dice Tower team usually take the price of the game in consideration? We occasionally take the price of the game in consideration if it's a very high price or a very cheap price. Like, for example, Sushi Go Party. I was like, I can't believe how cheap this is. Mechs vs. Minions. I'm like, wow, it's pretty inexpensive. Daedalus Encounter. I'm like, wow, that game is extremely pricey. But for the most part, no, because by the time you watch a review, I don't know what the price is going to be or anything. So I don't normally take the price in consideration. When are you guys going to challenge Will Wheaton on Tabletop? You mean, are we going to, like, attack him? I don't know. I think what you mean is when will we be on the show? And that would be up to Mr. Wheaton. But I think we'd have to wait and see if there's going to even be another season of the show. And I don't mean that in any negative way. We just have to wait and see if they're going to. They haven't announced the next season yet. But I really don't think he knows we exist to any degree. I think he's mentioned us in minor things in the past, but I don't think we're really on his radar. I don't think we would bring any kind of attraction to a show. I got 100,000 subscribers, and he brings in people who have millions of subscribers. Hi, Tom. What do you think about games with a ton of expansion packs, such as Zombicide, Descent, Imperial Assault? Hey, there's tons of stuff for you to buy, but you don't have to. What do you think of the new expansion of Orleans? You don't want to wait till my review. It's only coming in a few days. It is, whatever, I don't care. In short, it is a more of the same type expansion. And while there's one thing in it which I hate and I'll never use, the rest of it's amazing. I mean, amazing. It just really enhanced the game. This is an expansion. I'll never not use the stuff in it. I will always use the stuff in it. Every game of the Orleans, even for new people. That's my opinion of it. As a small con organizer, what's the smallest convention you considered going to? Well, I don't think we can get much smaller. The Portal one had like 50, 75 people, and we went to that one. But for the small conventions, the convention would have to do some. We have some requirements for a convention to bring us in for the smaller ones, because the bigger ones we go to and we get news and stuff and we can justify the expense. The smaller ones we really can't justify that expense, so we need the convention to help us out in some regards. But we would consider anything, really. We say no to a lot of conventions, we really do. But we will try to consider everything. I'd love to hear Tom's opinion on Tabletop and Will Wheaton in general. Well, we got to differentiate that, right? Okay, because my thoughts on Will Wheaton as a person are my own. They're private thoughts. Doesn't matter. I met him and played games with him, and he was very nice and genial, and we had a good time playing games. That is my only interaction with him. The rest of my interaction with him is seeing his Twitter and Facebook feed and seeing him on Tabletop. And his Twitter, Facebook feed, blog, I believe, are like a separate persona. They were very different than the person who I met in real life. So I'm just going to contain my thoughts to him and Tabletop. And I think Tabletop is a good thing. It's been good for the hobby as a whole. There's the term a rising tide floats all boats. So the more people watch Tabletop, the more go out to see other things. I mean, you could sit there and be like, man, it must be nice to be able to bring in A-listers, mostly B-listers, but occasionally some big movie stars and different things onto a show to play games. And he comes and lots of people play games, and I could sit there and be jealous, right? Like, oh man. But you know what? It is what it is. And again, a lot of people watch Tabletop, and now they come and watch Dice Tower. So I'm pleased with that. Now, Tabletop is, I've watched a good chunk of the episodes. I haven't watched all of them. For me, Tabletop, the episodes really vary on who's on them. Like when they had Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning on, I watched that whole episode. I had a really good time watching that episode. Even though the fourth person they had, the comedian, was not that funny, but it was funny to see him be bad at the game, I guess. They played Concept. That was a good episode. And there's some episodes that I really like. I do feel like Tabletop's constantly saying, hey, we're a family-friendly show, when they certainly are not. And I'm not saying they have to be family-friendly. I just find it odd that they kind of say they're family-friendly, and then they're constantly making jokes throughout which are definitely not family-friendly. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just seems kind of odd to me. For a long time, my biggest argument against Tabletop was that they acted like the rest of the hobby did not exist. They never mentioned other YouTube channels. They never mentioned Board Game Geek, very rarely. And I talked to the Tabletop people about that when I ran into them one time. And since then, I've seen at least Geek and Sundry website pointing to other places and stuff on the internet, and I like that. I know that they had the different publishers come in and watch this last season of Tabletop, and so they would stop and say, okay, you're making a rules mistake. So there should be like 0 rules mistakes on this news one. The publishers did have to fly themselves in and pay to get in there and everything, but I'm sure they considered that a fair price for how widespread the video will be. And if you look at this first episode of Tabletop, it was hundreds of thousands of people watched it already. Now, for them going behind the paywall, the alpha, I don't know how well that will work. I think it won't work that well. I don't even know how much it costs. I went in to look, and they were like, sign up for early access. I was like, well, okay. And then they're like, maybe you can come in. I'm like, well, I want to know how much it costs. I was just curious. I'm not a big fan of making some content pay only. That's just a personal thing. And I also feel like a lot of Tabletop shows, the people are trying to be funny, and I would prefer people be funny naturally, and some of them are much better than others. So I think there's a big wide range. Now, the production value of them is incredible. Will Wheaton, again, is a very genial person. Like I said, I've played games against him, and I would play, if I met him at a convention, I'd play games with him. So I know it's kind of rambling all over the place, but I think ultimately Tabletop has been good for the hobby. I think certainly it was a bigger deal at the beginning. I think season 2 was kind of its pinnacle, but it may become big again, and I certainly think that they enjoy playing games a lot. Coming to South Florida next week, are there any special awesome restaurants you like? Man, people always come to South Florida. I'm like, hey, come see. Oh, wait, next week I'll be in BGG-Con. This happens a lot. Someone will email me, hey, can we meet up and play games? And I always tell people, if you're coming to South Florida, let me know. And then, of course, I'm out for conventions half the time when people do it. Special awesome restaurants you like. If you're going to the Keys, go eat. There are so many great restaurants down there. You literally can go almost to any restaurant and have a great time. But my favorite so far in Key Largo is the Fish House. The Fish House is amazing. It is my favorite by far. My second favorite currently is the Shrimp Shack, which is in Isla Mirada, or closer to Marathon, like halfway to Key West. Whale Harbor was one I liked a lot, but that one had some fire damage, and so it's still being fixed. It's supposed to come out this year. We'll see. And if Homestead doesn't have a lot of great restaurants, the best restaurant in Homestead is Shivers, which is a barbecue place. I was in the live room for TI3, and no way was the atmosphere nasty. No, it was not. Derek was monitoring the comments. The live streaming was fine. It was the comments afterwards, and I go read the Reddit. I probably shouldn't read Reddit at all. And it was just extremely negative comments towards us. Have you watched Will Wheaton's Titan's Grave RPG show? If so, what are your thoughts? I watched part of it, but I thought it was really cool that they had like the animation and stuff in the background. I was, but I just haven't had time to watch it for the most part. I've actually, the only RPG series that I've watched any, and I've even watched them, was the ones that they do at the PAX. What are they called? It's when the guys from Penny Arcade and John, and the guy who does PvP, and then they bring in a fourth person and they do an RPG session. That's pretty funny. Not very family friendly, but I have enjoyed some of those episodes. How about recorded plays instead of live plays? I thought about that, but those are a lot of work, and people tend to like live plays better. I've done recorded plays before, and they never get that much. People like to feel like they're part of the experience. Yes, Tom, do a talk about females in games as Tom thinks. That way I can skip it. If I want to be lectured, I'll go to Wisconsin's world's first feminist science fiction convention and get lectured at about safe places. Yes, thank you for your helping the hobby. Look, I don't mean to lecture people, but the fact is some people need lecturing. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And every time I do this, I saw my board game breakfast this morning, already has a lot of thumbs down, and I don't care. You sit there and you can say, well, I'll play the way I want to, and I don't care about other people, and that's fine, but I want more people to play with me. I want more people to have a good time at my table. Maybe you don't. That's fine. You can do what you want, but don't get out of my face, in a sense. I'm sorry. Tom versus the internet videos. Yeah, maybe I'll do some more of those in the future. It's just that I need some more downtime to be able to do those. We've just been so busy with it. Just been for the last things. I did a lot of those, I think, in February when I wasn't going to conventions at any given point in time. I'll be in Orlando next week. Any good unknown game stores? No, I'm not going to recommend anything except for Cool Stuff. Cool Stuff's an amazing store. Why would you not go there? Is Battlelord dead? I don't think so. Is Melody going to do a top 100 in the future? Well, I've talked to her. We might set that up for a 2017 thing. She's definitely played a lot more games this year that she would probably want to put into the top 100. I have a whole shelf of empty boxes from expansions. That's just a waste of space, honestly. I will never understand why people keep them. Why do you keep them? I mean, let it go. It's for example, like when you buy a product and you have the wrapping around that product or the box that it comes in and you keep the box. And a lot of people do that too. But again, why? Well, I might get rid of it someday. Really? Yeah, just get rid of those expansion boxes. It's not worth it. The only reason I could see keeping them is if for some reason you wanted to sell it in a little bit, and you wanted to be able to sell the expansion separately, just put it all in the same box. Notice I'm skipping a lot of questions just because of time, so I'm just like zooming through to look for questions I find that are interesting. Do you have cats? No. We don't have any pets right now because we have a lot of kids, and that's a lot of work on everybody involved, so we don't have pets. I'm going to Seoul or Busan soon. Any good board game shops there? I don't know. I know a lot of the stuff in Korea is sold online. They don't have a lot of board game stores. They have a lot more board game cafes where you go play games. Mostly the board games that I've seen sold in Korea, and this was when I was there, which was a while ago, was in bookstores. You go to one of the bookstores, they would have them. Will you be reviewing the second edition of Robinson Crusoe soon? I'd love to, but here's the problem that we've run into. All our stuff from Essen has not shown up yet. All the stuff in our suitcases we had fine, and then we shipped 13 boxes worth of stuff. We've gotten 1. The rest of the boxes are all in Germany still. It's not frustrating yet, right? Because we have a lot of stuff that we brought back in the suitcases, and we got some other stuff that we need to work on and review-wise. But I'm really hoping it shows up this week or next week, because otherwise we're going to be in some serious trouble. The reason I mention that is Robinson Crusoe 2nd Edition is in one of those boxes, as is many, many other games. Why is Sam such a Chicago fan? Did he used to live there? I believe his dad was a Chicago fan and it just passed on. I don't think he ever lived there. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Can you sub to me, please? No, but I can block you. It's pretty cool. What are your thoughts on the Apple Watch? I see you've had yours for some time now. Well, I'm not going to throw it away. I think it's okay. I think it's useful. I don't think it's the best thing. I like Apple stuff. I'm not an Apple fanatic. But the watch is the least useful thing I bought. I mean, it's really handy, okay, for sure. If I didn't have my Apple Watch, I wouldn't be like, what? I need to have my phone on me at all times? Like, my phone's across the room right now. But if something happened, it would get buzz here to Apple Watch. And I like that. I think that's pretty neat. I like that when I'm driving, it gives me directions. Those are kind of cool, interesting things to me, with the health thing. But I'm sure there's other aspects to the Apple Watch. I just don't use many of them. Cool Mini or Not has run into issues with delivery of Kickstarter games in time. This is balanced out somewhat by giving away tons of great Kickstarter exclusive, but still a shame. How important is timely delivery? I honestly think that as a consumer, you need to just put the timely delivery from your mind. Not for Cool Mini or Not, for everybody, for every company. Any company who delivers like on time all the time, that means that they were cheesing to begin with, in the sense that they said, we're going to deliver this in August, and they already were planning to deliver it in February. And that, because stuff always goes wrong. Always goes wrong. And the more pieces, the more stuff, the more things involved, the more that things can go wrong. And you'll get really frustrated, and they'll get frustrated because they want to get it to you. It's not like they're like, oh, they're sleeping on the job. No, there's just so many problems with games, and that's why they get delayed. I would just not worry so much about it. Have you ever dreamed of opening up a board game cafe? No, but you know, here's what my dream was. If I had a couple $100 million, what I would do is I'd move to Orlando, and I'd make a board game hotel. I'd have a hotel that was themed around board games, and you know, the decor and everything would be very board game themed. And then there would be like a big giant board game cafe in the hotel. You know, a big place you can come down and play games in the lobby and stuff, and it would just be because all kinds of people come to Orlando, and then they'd be tempted to stay at this hotel. And then we would also have the Dice Tower Studios as part of this hotel, and you could come there and you could come and watch through the glass as we record live. And when we were playtesting the games, we'd come out and play them in a board game cafe. Pretty cool, right? Yes, but it's a pipe dream. It's one of those dreams that I don't even seriously consider. Just like, if I had a lot of money, that is what I would do. Tom, what are your thoughts on the growth of the Dice Tower? Seems like the number of subscribers is growing very quickly lately. I don't think subscribers is growing that much. It seems it's very steady. We have about a 30% growth from year to year. So like the number of people who watch our thing is 30% higher than it was last year. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know I've never run a business before, so I don't know about numbers, but the viewers and things seems to go up by about 30% from year to year, and that's very exciting for me. Alpha is $5 a month. It's not that expensive, I guess. I don't know if I would pay it, though. I mean, I'm not going to pay it. I'll just wait I don't need to see the tabletop videos that bad. My concern for the tabletop videos is I wonder how the publishers feel about it, right? Because getting your game on tabletop's a big deal. So I'm sure Renegade's happy. Lanterns was just done, so I'm sure Lantern sales are up. What about the company who's episode 3, the first one behind the Alpha Firewall? Paywall. And then, I wonder how they feel like, oh, yay, people have to pay to watch about my game. I'd rather mine been free. And that's my thing. I'm thinking that some of the companies would be like, well, we wish ours was on the free channel, get more views. What's the secret of Renegade Games Studio's success? I just think they're making smart business moves. Renegade Games they're looking at original games. They have some reprints they did, but the original games, they get really good artwork, they get really good components, and then they say, they're hitting the widest audience. They're doing those medium weight games or light games that a lot of people like, and they're solid quality, great artwork, smart business moves they're making. I'm very impressed watching them grow. Very impressed with that company, looking forward to seeing its growth in the future. Can we expect the Vasel family Christmas serenade of "We Wish You a Merry Christmas"? Did I not do that last year? We might do it this year. Remind me when we get closer to Christmas. By the way, I know that I'm going over time, but I just want to answer a few things. Acquisitions Incorporated. Yeah, that's the name of the live RPG things from PAX that I watch. It makes me feel bad that Tom's so affected by negative comments. Well, I don't know. Here's the deal, right? When we review stuff, we do anything, there's negative comments. Reddit is the worst. I know Reddit thinks they're this wonderful community. There's a lot of jerks in Reddit. From what I can tell, Board Game Reddit is like way nicer than the rest of Reddit. But there's a lot of these negative things on Board Game Geek. Whenever someone says, "Who's your favorite reviewer?" and people come in and go, "Well, not Tom Vasel." Like one guy just posted how I was, I can't repeat what he called me, but he said basically I was a jerk. I really try hard not to be a jerk. I want to be friendly to people and make it so it's fun to play games with me. And I guess that sort of thing bothers me if I come off in videos that way. But okay, so we get these comments all the time. It is what it is, The ones, and I usually don't argue about them. The ones I usually go on if someone says that we're lying, like, oh, well, they were affected because they have a relationship with this publisher. I'm coming in, okay? Don't call us liars. I don't know what else we have to prove. I think we do more negative reviews than any other channel. I really do. We don't like doing them, but I think we do a lot, and yet people still say that we're biased and too positive and all that. But these negative comments are all over the internet. They're affecting us to some degree, but for the most part, I really can reel off them. I read them like, It's when you read a whole pile in a row that you're like, oh. And that's what happens after each live play. I read a whole pile of the negative stuff in a row. And that's where I'm like, I don't know if these are worth doing. And they're a lot of work, right? Because we're setting up multiple cameras. There's wires all over the room. we're trying to make it so that it's interesting to watch. Everyone's like, wow, it was boring and this and that. And live plays are dangerous because any little thing that anyone does is amplified into something bigger because people can watch it and scrutinize it and look at it. So, I don't know. I can avoid the negativity to some degree, but I don't know. That's why I'm just not as keen on doing them. Because I don't mind that people don't like the Dice Tower. I don't mind when someone says, Tom Vasel's a moronic, stupid, his opinions and blah, blah, blah. But I guess I do mind when someone says, I don't want to play games with them. Really? Because that's the whole point of this. I want to be someone that say, man, if I met Tom, I'd love to play games with him. I hope so. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I trash talk a little too much in games, probably. But I would hope that people wouldn't say that I'm a jerk. I don't know. I just say I'm a moron, and I'm used to that. I've been called a moron my whole life. But I don't know. I'm not discouraged by things in general. I mean, the Dice Tower, we get very positive things and very positive feedback, and I've been very appreciative of everyone, wanting to be involved. I mean, like, I'm setting up the Kickstarter for January, and with one fairly notable exception, the companies have been very nice to me and talked to me, even if I've given their games negative reviews, and I've always appreciated that. I'm a huge Dice Tower fan, but I'm losing interest in breakfast. You shouldn't. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But I think you mean board game breakfast. I find many of the segments don't interest me. The personalities don't appeal. Any new segments coming? I don't have any new segments coming right now that I know of. I can understand if it doesn't appeal to everybody. You don't have to like board game breakfast. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I just try to make it a fun, interesting show. I mean, we'll have new segments show up, but I have a set of segments right now that I'm really happy with. And if it's not your cup of tea, then there's other things. Go check out Throw Punch Lunch or Board Game Blender. They have all kinds of new segments, so that might be more what you might be interested in. How long did you do the Dice Tower before you started doing it full time? About a decade. Do your kids like Studio Ghibli movies? They do, but not as much as I do. I think Studio Ghibli is more for adults than it is for kids. All right, I'm going to answer just a couple more questions. Do you watch the Honest Trailers videos by Screen Junkies? I do. If so, would you consider doing honest trailers for board games? That's funny. That would be a lot of work, though. That'd be a lot of work, but it would be funny. Do you look at everything you didn't complete after beating a Time Stories module? I do. Z doesn't, because he's like, I might play this with somebody else. I'm like, fine, but I'm looking at it. I look at everything we missed. I'm still following the coffee and tobacco strategy that you gave me some weeks ago in Puerto Rico, and I'm winning every and each game. Thanks, Tom. Well, that sentence you said there, that strategy you gave me a week ago and I'm winning each and every game, I don't believe that's ever been said to me before about a strategy tip. So that's very nice to hear. But it's not like it's anything new. All right. Tom thinks it's an opinion piece. Why are people upset that he expressed opinion? Well, that's fine. I think you could be upset at someone else's opinion. It's just that I guess I don't understand why some people, if you're playing a game, right, and I look at that game you're playing and say, that game bothers me, don't play it in my presence. Okay, I can see how that, it's like, oh man, what am I supposed to do? But my call here is not necessarily for gamers as much, it is somewhat for gamers, but for publishers to make their games more appealing to everybody. It's not a difficult thing. Look at the new Plaid Hat version of Dead of Winter. Wow, the characters in that one are so diverse. I mean, extremely diverse. It's amazing. And you know what? You may not have even noticed it if you played the game. You're right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that much. But to some people it matters because now there's a character that they can relate to. When I pick characters in the game, I often will tend to pick someone who I'm like, well, that guy looks a little bit like me, or that's kind of the way I feel. You know, that feels like my personality. I'm taking that. So why would we not want to put more of those in games? All right, well, I don't want to get to another lecture. So, guys, I really do appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate the people who watch everything, and I appreciate the people who watch it and don't enjoy our show. So anyhow, there's going to be several reviews coming this week. There's going to be more stuff coming your way from the Dice Tower. I hope you enjoy it. Have a fantastic and a wonderful week. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Live Q&A. Advertising the Dice Tower convention. That's cool. That's just an ad. That's a good game. I heard that one. That's boring. Who's this Rodney Smith guy? Looks like a nerd. Watch it played. When are those coming out? Should come out soon. It's a bookshelf with books on it. That's weird. Well, that's interesting. I'm going to have to come back and read that one later. Ooh, I do like those. I need to buy some of those. Huh. I get that played this week, actually. Intriguing.